Hi guys, my name's Terry and welcome back to our calming and toning series. We're going to work through a series of flowing postures, and as always we're going to connect with our breath. I hope you're all fit and well today, and on that note we're going to begin by lying ourselves down. So gently just come to a lying position, lying down onto your mats. We're going to just take our arms overhead, taking hold of opposite elbows. Now just bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees flop out, creating a diamond shape here. So we're just going to start to create a bit of space within those hips while starting to connect our minds towards our breath. So start to clear your minds of any thoughts on what you was doing before class, and start to clear your minds of any to-do lists for after your flow. We want you to start to connect your mind with your body using your breath. So just noticing that natural breath here, and just letting those knees naturally flop down towards that mat. There's no tension there, we're not forcing anything, we're just lying here connecting with our bodies. Starting to cultivate that yogi breathing. So starting to inhale through that nose and begin to exhale through that nose. Coming into a more conscious breath now. So beginning to make those inhalations through that nose a little bit stronger, a little bit deeper and a little bit richer now. Every breath you're taking, you're calming your mind and your body is beginning to follow. There's no thoughts in your mind, there's just your breath now. So on your next inhalation, start to take that fresh, rejuvenating oxygen all the way down towards that belly and let that belly rise. Continuing that inhale all the way towards those rib cages and expand fully there. Feel the breath. Finally, the breath comes towards those collarbones, and those collarbones gently rise. No thoughts on the exhale as that body naturally floats back down towards your mat. Inhaling, your belly rises, rib cage follows, collarbones rise. Exhaling, release. So every inhalation your mind is calming and your body is beginning to follow. No thoughts in your mind, just your breath. So making those inhalations even stronger, even richer and even deeper now. Letting any thoughts that are coming through your mind just naturally float away, and just practice non-attachment to those thoughts. Just let them go. On your next inhalation, gently start to draw your knees together and help them with your hands if needed to be. Start to bring your knees into that chest and just take hold of your knees, just rocking from side to side, just creating a little bit of space, a little bit of movement to that lower spine. So working within twists today, so we want to just warm up that area. So take your hands out like a letter T and just let those knees flop over towards the right, and just take your gaze over towards the left. So we're just warming up into that thoracic area of our spines. Continue to stay nice and connected to that deep inhale through that nose, and just let that exhale extend and come all the way out there. So with every exhalation you take, you're just emptying out that mind of any tension there. Gently beginning to start to draw those knees back through to center. Just send those knees over towards the left and maybe shuffle those hips over towards the right, and just taking that gaze over towards the right now. Make sure that both shoulders are still nice and rooted down onto that mat. And maybe begin to start to extend in that exhalation now as you're releasing all that tension from that mind and body. Taking one more deep inhale, and then as you exhale, start to draw those knees back into center and just gently start to give yourself a little bit of a squeeze there. And smile, gently releasing all the way back down. So cross both ankles together, so you can use your core and the momentum of your breath, or you can use your hands to help you here. So we're just going to take a few rock and rolls up that spine. So inhale, rocks you forward, exhale, rocks you back. When you're ready, bringing it all the way up to a seated position. So we're just going to make sure that both sit bones are nice and rooted down onto our mat. We're going to take another twist now just to re-warm in our spines. So take that left hand onto that right knee and that right hand behind those sit bones. Inhale, grow tall in that spine, and as you exhale, start to twist over towards that right. And you're creating that space here. Don't collapse in that supporting arm. It's just there for support. Don't collapse down into it. We want that nice straight spine. Take another deep inhale. Then as you exhale, really twist over that right shoulder. We're just warming up in that thoracic area there. Take one more deep inhalation. As you exhale, bring it all the way back to center. We're just going to take one round of cat-cow. So inhale, push your spine forward. Chest comes forward, that gaze lifts, there's a bend there. As you exhale, start to tuck that chin towards that chest. Start to pull your belly button towards that spine. One, two more. Inhale, we open, lift your gaze, start to really push your chest through. As you exhale, more dynamic this time as you round in that upper back, belly button backwards. One more. Inhale, really arch that spine. Be dynamic with your breath as you open. As you exhale, really round in that upper back. Chin comes towards that chest. Now start to get that pelvic floor lifted and start to pull your Uddiyana Bandha, which is your stomach muscles, by your belly button backwards and upwards now. You're creating a bit of a bandha lock there. We're holding for 3. Rounding that back a little bit more for 2. Stomach is engaged for 1. Gently release and come back to that neutral spine. Twisting over towards the left, right hand, left knee, left hand behind. Let's inhale, grow tall. As you exhale, take that gaze over that left shoulder. And we want to be nice and dynamic, so use that left knee as an anchor here. It's pulling you in with every breath, so move with that breath. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, twist that little bit deeper, test yourself. You're more flexible than you think, guys. Taking that gaze way over that left shoulder. Coming all the way back to center and just releasing there. So we're going to tuck under our knees, come over into our tabletop position, our 4-point of contact. So we're going to take a variation of our cat-cow. So on your inhale, I'll just demonstrate on here for you. So on your inhale, you'll do your normal cow pose. And then on your exhale, you can stay in your cat pose, or you can start to raise those shins, those knees, coming into a little bit of a core strengthener with me. So we're going to go for 3 rounds here, moving with our breath. So on your inhale, dip your belly, open your heart space, and really lift your gaze. As you exhale, push away at your mat, rounding your upper spine, and lift your shins, knees off that mat. Take an inhale as you lower those knees, shins back down, open your heart space. So it's 1 breath, 1 movement. Exhale, start to round in your upper back, staying in your cat pose or lifting your shins with myself. Take an inhale as you lower, lowering your belly. Don't just let it drop, use your core, open your heart space. As you exhale, round in your upper back, push away at your mat, and we're going to hover our shins, our knees for 3. Your cores are engaged for 2, and you feel that pressure down onto your mat. Feel the energy for 3. Gently releasing, coming all the way back down, coming back into your neutral tabletop. Tuck your toes under, send your seat to your heels, and let's rise into our first downward facing dog. So keeping a slight bend to those knees if you've got super tight hamstrings, or seeing how deep you can take it by sending your heels closer down towards your mat. Now make sure that your triceps are tracking round and you're sending your shoulder blades back down that mat. Now just shake your head from side to side and up and down, and make sure that you're releasing any tension there. So you just want that head to hang heavy here. It's just an extension to that spine. There's no thoughts in that mind and there's no tension in that neck. Making sure that you're pulling down into all areas of your palm and you're not relying on those wrists solely for your strength. And if this pose is ever a little bit too much, know that you can always come back down into your tabletop. So there's always options. So begin to start to just pedal in that one knee, pedal into that left knee. So we're starting to create a little bit of warmth here. We're trying to send those hamstrings a little bit warmer and a little bit stretchier by sending our heels closer down towards our mat, just walking in our downward facing dog. So start to ground down into your left palm and start to send your right hand over towards your knee, your calf, or maybe down towards your ankle, and start to twist that gaze under that left underarm. If this is a little bit much, start to drop down onto your knees and you just twist in that way. So that's your two options, guys. Take it where you need it to be. And you're using that breath, inhaling and exhaling fully. We're just warming here, and you want to stay connected to your breath, or have you lost it already? Start to take that right hand back to meet that left and come back into your downward facing dog. Begin to start to take your left hand now, grounding down into that right, and twist here. So you're trying to bring your gaze under that right underarm. You're sending that left hand either towards that knee, the calf, or maybe down towards that foot. So use your options, no tension in your poses. You want it to be nice and open within our bodies. Stay connected to that breath. Gently start to take that left back to meet that right, and you're back in that downward facing dog. Start to lower your knees back down towards your mat. Come back into your tabletop, flatten those feet. We're going for our second set of our tabletop cat-cow with a variation. So inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze, push your heart space through. One breath, one pose. Exhale, start to round in your upper back, and we lift our shins, our knees, maybe a little bit more higher this time. Inhaling, lowering down, opening your heart space, lifting your gaze. As you exhale, push away at your mat. Feel the energy there as you start to float those shins and those knees. Inhaling, we're lowering down, opening that heart space, and your heart and your gaze follows. As you exhale, we start to round here. Start to really push away at your mat as we're going to hover our knees, our shins for 3. Don't hold that breath, guys. Continue to breathe for 2. Inhaling, exhaling, release all the way back down. Let's tuck our toes, send our seat to our heels as we rise back into your downward facing dog. So on your next inhale, let's start to lower those shins, those knees. As you exhale, we re-rise. Inhaling, we're going to lower. Exhale, we're going to rise. One more. Inhale, we're going to lower. Exhale, we're going to rise. Seeing if those heels are coming closer towards your mat. Have you created some space? You're pushing your torso closer towards your thighs here. Be dynamic. This is your resting pose, but it's also a dynamic pose. Use it. On your next inhalation, start to ground down into your left leg and just raise that right leg. Come into your 3-legged dog. Floating with our breath now. On your inhale, roll it forward, high plank, but lower in that leg. As you exhale, shoot it back, 3-legged dog. So on your inhale, roll forward, 3-legged plank. On your exhale, send it back, 3-legged dog. Inhale, roll it forward, 3-legged plank. Exhale, send it back, three-legged dog. So take your gaze forward and with ease and grace, step that right foot through. Drop on that back heel as you start to bring yourself into a low lunge here. Bring your prayer together and float your prayer towards your heart space. So we're just going to take that left elbow onto the outer of that right knee and we're going to twist here. So try to use that elbow and knee contact there, a bit of energy to try to twist a bit deeper. Take your gaze over that right shoulder and really twist in that torso. So you can stay here, or if you want more, we're going to tuck that back toe under and we're going to rise into our high lunge. Make sure that that back leg is nice and strong, kneecaps lifted and your quads and your glutes are engaged. Core's strong, guys, it's going to help with your balance. Stay calm in your breath. You're inhaling and exhaling fully. Staying here, or we're going to send your left hand towards the floor and we're going to open out that prayer and send that right arm high towards the sky, still twisting and revolving in that torso. Gently begin to bring your prayer back together and we're going to float it all the way back to center. Prayers at your heart space. Take a deep inhale and as you exhale, bring your weight into your right quad as you take flight with that left leg coming into your warrior three. So you could be here just toe tapping into the pose. You could gently start to be rising a little bit more, maybe coming all the way through. Make sure that standing leg is nice and strong. Back foot is flexed or it's pointed and both hips are nice and square down towards your mat. So we're going to move with our breath. So on your inhale, bend in that right leg. Don't drop that left as you come all the way up to a standing position. Let's float it back. Inhale, exhale, start to return that left leg back down into your warrior three. Two more. Inhale, we rise. And no balancing is fun. So if you come out of posture, just come back in. It's a yoga practice, guys, not yoga perfect. Inhale, we float it backwards. And as you exhale, we rise all the way back up. Take a deep inhale, ground down into your right foot as you extend that left leg. We're holding using your core. Point your toes for three. A little bit higher for two. Strong standing leg for one. Start to bend in that knee as you float it all the way back. Now with ease and grace, be light with that left foot as you start to return it back down towards your mat, coming back into your high lunge. Release your prayer from your heart space, frame that front foot and shoot that right to meet that left. You're in your high plank. Take a deep inhale to prepare. Either lowering your knees, coming through a chaturanga, chin chest, or you're coming with myself. Inhale prepares you, exhale floating it down, chaturanga dandasana. Roll over your toes, upward facing dog or baby cobra. Taking it back, downward facing dog, and just breathe here. Deep breaths as you inhale and exhale fully. Slow down that breath, slow down that heart rate. So let's ground down into that right foot and we're going to raise that left leg into your three-legged dog. On your next inhalation, start to roll it forward, three-legged plank. You've been here before. Exhale, we rise, three-legged dog. Two more. Inhale, lowering. Stay nice and strong, one long line of energy. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more. Inhale, roll forward. Exhale, send it back. Take your gaze forward and start to step that left foot through. So lower that back knee and flatten that back foot. Start to come all the way back up into your low lunge. Bring your prayer towards your heart space. So we're going to hook that right elbow over that left knee and we're going to twist here. So we're going to take our gaze as far over that left shoulder as we can see. Using that breath. So staying where you are, or we gently start to tuck that back toe. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, we start to rise into your crescent lunge. Staying still twisted in that position. Connect your core, and your back leg is nice and strong. We're going to practice what we already know. Start to open out your press. The left hand goes high, right hand goes low. Begin to start to bring your prayer back together, and let's float our prayer back to center. So we know where this is going. So ground down into that left foot, take a deep inhale. As you exhale, start to take the weight into that left leg. As you start to take flight with that right, move with your breath. Coming into your warrior three. So knowing your options here, guys. So you could be toe tapping up and down into your position. Just making sure that you're trying to keep those hips nice and square. Concentrate on something in front of you, or maybe take your focus point towards your nose. Take a deep inhale, and then start to bend in that left knee as you start to float that right leg forwards. Start to float that right leg back behind as you tilt in that torso. So we're just moving with our breath. Gently starting to draw that right knee back up. Cores are engaged. Taking two more. Inhale, we lower. Exhale, we rise. One more. Inhale, we lower. Exhale, we rise. Take a deep inhale, ground down into your left leg as you raise your right leg out in front. We're using your core. Don't lean backwards, try to stay nice and straight for 3. For 2, point your toes for 1. Start to begin to float that leg backwards now, coming back into your Virabhadrasana 3, your warrior 3. So with ease and grace, start to lower that right leg back down towards your mat. You're back where you begin, you're in your high lunge here. Taking your hands to frame that front foot. Shoot that left to meet that right, you're in your high plank. So inhale, prepare as you push away, exhale, sending it down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Roll over your toes, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take your gaze towards your palms and step, jump or float to a seated position on our mats. Bring your feet so they're nice and flat down onto the ground, and we're going to start to come into our boat pose, working our cores a little bit here, guys. So inhale, grow tall in your spine. So you can stay here working with that connection with your core, just staying nice and strong. If not, rock back on those sit bones and just raise those shins there. So holding there, know your options, your body, or extend your arms out. We're holding here for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Cross at those ankles and just rock it back in, just release a little bit there. Going for 2 more sets. So on your next inhale, bring your feet nice and flat and grow tall in that spine, and your sit bones are nice and rooted. Staying where you are or testing yourself a little bit and just rocking back on those sit bones, spine is tall, and those legs are nice and parallel towards the ceiling. Letting go here for 5, maybe raising those legs for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Bringing it back through, crossing on those ankles and bring it all the way back up. So we're going to go for 1 more set. So start to bring your spine nice and tall here. Grow tall in your spine. Inhale. As you exhale, start to rock back at your sit bones, coming through to your chosen position. So you can stay here, or you can come with myself, and we're going to inhale and lower for 1. Exhale, we're going to rise. Inhale, we lower. Exhale, we rise. 3 more. Be strong, guys. Inhale, we lower. Exhale, we rise. 2 more. Inhale, we lower. Exhale, we rise. 1 more. Inhale, we lower. Exhale, we rise. We're holding it for 3. Stay with me. You're doing great for 2. Your cores are engaged. You'll thank me tomorrow for 1. Cross those ankles and bring it all the way up to a seated position. So bring your feet nice and flat down to your mat and just tuck your chin towards your chest, bringing your arms out in front of you or using your hands for support. On your next inhale, we start to lower all the way down towards our mat, and we're using our breath. Every vertebrae starts to connect back down towards our ground, and we're inking down like a train, unraveling all the way down. Extending your arms overhead and just extend your legs here. So last little bit of core work, guys, and then we're done, I promise. So start to bring both legs nice and parallel down towards the sky. Start to bring your hands on your ears like you're wearing earmuffs or you're wearing a pair of headphones. Lower down your right leg, so we sit and hover here. On your next inhale, we rise and start to twist over towards the left. So that right elbow meets that left knee. We hold for 3, for 2, for 1. Bring it all back to center. Right foot comes back in. Lowering that left leg down. Take an inhale, grow taller. Start to twist over towards the right for 3, for 2, for 1. Drawing it all the way back to center. Left knee meets that right, and we just lower down here. Just rock from side to side, releasing any tension. So start to bring your knees into that chest. Just bring your arms out like a letter T, like we did in the beginning. Send your knees over towards the right and take your gaze over towards the left, just releasing any tension from that spine. Start to slow down that breath. Start to slow down that heart rate and that mind. Beginning to start to bring those knees via the center now and just floating them over towards the left and shifting that gaze over towards the right. Gently starting to bring yourself back to your neutral spine. Start to bring those knees towards you and just start to circle those knees, releasing any tension. Just release those legs down towards your mat and just take your arms to follow. Let's start to slow down and bring it down to your final posture, your Savasana. So start to release any breath there. Just come back to that natural breath. Come back to an unconscious breath now. Any thoughts that come through your mind, just release and let them go. So we're practicing non-attachment there. Just release them and just lie there and just give yourself the next few moments just for you. This is where your body's going to download. This is where it's going to reap all the benefits from your hard work. So just relax here, guys, and just rest. Staying in your Savasana for as long as needed, or gently bringing those knees into that chest, just bringing your nose to your knees, giving yourself a well-deserved hug, rolling over to your right hand side and just releasing yourself all the way back to a seated position. So thank you for joining me for today's session, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon. Namaste.